being here with us today. Okay, we together with Dr. Najmi, IR Dr. Najmiddin Yaakob, for having this discussion. I think this is would be more towards a discussion or hand-holding tips by Dr. Najmi. So before we get started, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to our speaker, inshallah. Okay, our speaker is Head of Industrial Corrosion Research Center in InCORE, School of Chemical Engineering, College of Engineering, Universiti Teknologi Mara Shah Alam, together with us to talk about the tips for winning grant of the Petronas Dialogue Academic, Petronas Academia Collaboration Research Grants. All right. Dr. Najmi is, let me go through to the biography of our speaker for today. Dr. Najmi holds a Bachelor Engineering degree honors in Chemical Engineering from Universiti Teknologi Mara. He is the head of Industrial Corrosion Research Center, or InCORE. The expert of Dr. Najmi is used to be in the industry as research and development engineer in the year 2004, and currently as a senior lecturer at the School of Chemical Engineering, Universiti Teknologi Mara. Before that, previously appointed as head of Oil and Gas Engineering Study Center in year 2015, and as a Deputy Dean Student Affairs in year 2017. Our expert today is details on the research interest mainly in the oil and gas pipeline corrosion, and also involved in various pipeline corrosion problems mainly from the oil and gas industry such as Petronas, PTTEP, Chevron, and DNVGL, which includes top of the line corrosion in sweet and sour environment, sour corrosion mechanism, elemental sulfur corrosion in sour glycolic environment, elemental sulfur corrosion mitigation by using sulfur solvent and inhibitor, and corrosion inhibitor coating from palm oil base. Without further ado, I would like to call our speaker for today to share the experience, okay? And we can grab this opportunity to gain more in depth about this Petronas grant from Dr. Najmi. Please proceed, Dr. Najmi.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Can you guys hear me? Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Hema, for the kind introduction. About myself, well, nevertheless, as per what Dr. Hema said, that it's going to be not a formal one, it's going to be like a discussion and also a sharing session experience from what we have gone through for the past years on the how to secure this grant. Some tips, some tips, and I will go through some of my example of proposal and what are the needs that they require in terms of what are the key points that they require to so-called to catch their eyes in terms of this grant in academia. First of all, let me share my screen first. Okay, can you see my slide?
Yes, Doc.
All right, thank you. Okay, as I mentioned, this is going to be a sharing experience. Previously, the first Petronas Academia Collaboration Dialogue was initially initiated in 2021. At that particular time, not many people were aware about this grant actually. So most of the grant, most of the proposal was submitted based according to the FRGS, the normal grant proposal. So there's no clear line or clear indicator what is exactly Petronas wants into this collaboration, right? So after going through a few series of discussion, a brainstorming discussion with the Petronas. So actually we managed to grab a few tips, and based on my experience as well. For your information, this so-called collaboration dialogue grant which I obtained in this year was actually my second one, which after the 2017. So I did obtain the first so-called grant from Petronas in 2017. So from that, this is the second one. So that's why more or less, I would say that I have a series of discussion with the Petronas side, what exactly they want in terms of the proposal from the academia, right? Okay. What's really in the back of my presentation? Just first of all, is some introduction about the PACD in 2021. And of course, Petronas area of interest. I believe most of you have gone through their slides. What are their point of interest? Okay, I'm just going to go through very quickly their point of interest. But what my focus is today is how you going to emphasize your proposal according to the technology readiness level of your, short form is TRL, of your research. All right. So this is very important for you to emphasize on the TRL level, or we call it the maturity of your proposal. Where are your level of research? Okay, so you need to classify this so-called TRL level if your product, your research, your prototype, or whatsoever. So that's going to be my highlight, and I will go through the one-page proposal from my side previously, how the practice was, and also my detailed proposal submitted during last year exercise for this grant. Okay, before I go through, actually this Petronas Academy Challenge was initiated, which is the point or the idea of having a collaboration with academic, with Petronas, between Petronas and academic, was initiated by Dato' Haji Bachok Pilong. He is the Senior Vice President of Petronas PDNT, very well versed in petroleum. He's the key person who sees that a lot of potential from the academics that can be brought together, aligned with the development of the nation oil and gas industry. So this is the reason why initiated in 2021, initiated by Dato' Haji Bachok Pilong. So this is a video, this is a glimpse of a video which was taken during the so-called awarding ceremony in KLCC March this year, where he addressed some keywords, some key points, which is probably a very interesting of you to have a few points on this. So let me just play. I hope you guys can hear. Can you hear it?
Not really. It's lag, I think.
Tak dengar
Dia moving tapi no voice.
No voice.
Tak dengar, Doktor.
Okay. I think because of the setting, it's okay. I think I just skip the video because sometimes the setting when I presented using Microsoft Teams, also the same problem happened. It's okay. Just the key point, actually, from what his pitch is about, is because Dato' Bachok Pilong is very, in terms of technology, he really looked into the new technology or new product development, not relying only from the Petronas side, but also relying on our local talents in Malaysia as well. Previous practice with Petronas, they engage international university, for example, Harry Ward University, Imperial College, Curtin University. So they engage all the international university for their so-called project or development of product. However, by his initiative, Dato' Bachok Pilong initiative, they expand the collaboration. They say that, well, we have a lot of universities in Malaysia, so that's why Dato' Bachok Pilong said that we have to go through, penetrate into the Malaysian university where we have a lot of talent. Okay, and it's proven that during the Academia Collaboration Dialogue 2021, a lot of so-called very good proposal was submitted during this so-called exhibition. during this so-called activity exercise for the Petronas. So more or less, that is the key point that he would like to, so that our talent, which is from the academic side, could develop together with Petronas for the development of our oil and gas industry. So that is the main point of Dato' Haji budget below. Okay. Before I start, in terms of what was practiced in last year exercise for the Petronas grant, these are the key focus area divided in 4 from the Petronas side. Okay, you can see the first one is a carbon capture and storage, and also greenhouse gases related area. So if your research is anything related to this group, so you will fall into this so-called group members, or a group so-called a group of expert in Petronas, where they have pulled in all together the expert for CCUS, GHG in this group. Okay, which means that your proposal, if you declare that it's going to be under this group, so all the experts will review your proposal according to this so-called grouping section done by Petronas. So the first one is from the CCUS and greenhouse gases area, and also they also have a group on improved recovery and production, where in terms of the hydrogen recovery, hydrocarbon recovery, enhanced oil recovery, sand management, flow assurance, these are all related to the production level, meaning from the upstream and also to the midstream and to the downstream as well. Those are the related area wherever you wanted to have, for example, your research is between that boundary in terms of the production, you can fall into this group, right? And the third one is, which is the operational efficiency, optimization, utilization. So this is more or less into the IoT. Okay, the IoT, the digital digitalization. Even previously, we secured one grant from digitalization from IBDAI. I'll show you one of the grant for digitalization. So this is related to the OE, operational excellence, water integrity, robotic, field of future. All this intelligent IoT falls under this. Okay, so I believe we have a lot of expert in terms of this IoT in electrical engineering. So you can fall into this section of grouping from Petronas. And the last one, the so-called grouping into the liability management and decommissioning. This is more or less in terms of from the rigs to reef, which is from the production or the development of the rigs, the liability of the rigs, the management of the rigs, and then also the design, and also up to the decommissioning of the rigs, of the platform. So they also look into these matters, where up to the development of the rig until the decommissioning of the rigs. So these are all the main 4. They have so-called pulled in together this group. Right? Each one of this group has its own experts, meaning their custodian, their principal, their staff or research scientists, to help in terms of this so-called development of product or so-called technology. Right? So make sure when you do your proposal, try to choose which one falls in these 4 actually. Right, so easier for them to look into, to segregate into their group for their own internal expertise. Okay. All right. So next is just got hang. Okay, this is, I think most of you have seen this. Right. These are a detailed one in terms of what are their interests. Currently, they are on into the hydrogen. Hydrogen, which means recovery, hydrogen storage, okay, renewables energy, and also carbon capture, advanced materials, subsea, any related to subsea, fluid technology, specialty chemicals. Okay, these are all the current project. They are also the current program they are running. For the coming one, in the future, the new one they are interested is the shape technology, shape memory technology, smart mining, compact fusion, renewable oil, for example, from algae, circular economy, and also part of the gold hydrogen program. So more or less, these are example of the topics which they are really interested. Currently, they're going to, and also the new one, which is they are also looking into to solve, so to help them in terms of obtaining, increasing their yield of production in a way. All right, so you can just, well, I believe this is very huge, broad. This is a broad area, all right? But nevertheless, try to fit in it into which one of this to make sure that your proposal falls in a suitable basket, so that if it falls in a different basket, so it's difficult for them to screen through your proposal based on your internal expertise, okay? All right, so next. Okay, this is the so-called the previous exercise during the 2021 activities with the Petronas Academy Challenge. Altogether, there were 100 proposals were submitted actually. Okay, from Monash University, MMU, UIA, we yourself, UPM, UKM, USM, Swinburne, Utah, UTM. You can see not all of the IPTA or IPTS submitted this so-called proposal. This is because most of the universities were not aware. Okay, I did some so-called homework with other universities. Some of them said that, well, I don't know, I'm not aware of this so-called call proposal. I thought it's just collaboration and just a normal collaboration and whatsoever. So most of them did not realize that this is they require a proposal from the university. So that's why there were not many proposals were submitted. Only 100 of proposals were submitted, and out of that, 23 were accepted. And Alhamdulillah, we were the only one from UiTM who got the most proposal accepted, which is 7 proposals accepted out of 23. So each one of them, Monash University, others only secured, for example, 1 proposal each per university. So we were lucky enough that we got 7. Even when we went to the so-called the exhibit award ceremony, most of them were shocked to say that how many recipients from UiTM. We said 7. I was like, wow, that's a lot compared to other RU university, right? Even UKM also was shocked. I met the Deputy Vice Chancellor of UKM, Dr. Wahab, at that time. He said that, well, that was impressive from UiTM to secure 7. UKM also only managed to secure 1 proposal only for this, right? So, but for this time of so-called exercise, I was informed that they are receiving an overwhelming proposal. Okay, they are receiving an overwhelming proposal, meaning that more universities aware and also more universities are sending their proposal in. But nevertheless, we're going to try our best, right, in terms of submitting it. At least we have a 50-50 chances of getting the proposal without, I mean, compared to without sending in anything, right? So again, from 100, they screen it into 42 proposal. Okay, then they screen again into 30 proposal, and the last screening was only 23 proposal were accepted to be funded for their the first exercise of Petronas Collaboration 2021. Right? Okay, among the 23 that the business focus area were accepted, these are the so-called detailed section of proposal. For example, 4 of the proposal comes from reservoir, 1 the proposal for process, for geology, fit of process, fiber, energy storage, digitalization, and corrosion. 2 of them, actually 2 of them comes from UiTM, from the corrosion side, me and Prof. Aida, and also capture, carbon capture, and also CO2 utilization. 4. Altogether, these are the detailed so-called segmentation or detailed scope of out of 23 proposals that were submitted. And out of that 23 proposal, I'm sorry, these images were not clear because I was just using my phone to capture their presentation in KLCC at that time. So they didn't give me this slide. So that's why I tried to give you the best slide to show how's the chronology or how was their selection into this so-called proposal acceptance. Right? So out of that, the TRL level ranges from TRL 1, 2, 3, and 4. So out of these 23, we have various kind of technology readiness level. All right. So initially, we have to define which TRL level is our proposal. Easier for them to get to know where TRL level is our product or our research is. Right. Later on, if we got accepted, they will screen through, is it true enough? For example, if we declare our proposal is on TRL 2 or 3, they will go through the exercise. We will go through the exercise with the Petronas research to go through in terms of their technology readiness level committee members on each of the section 4 group just now that I'm showing you. So all the experts will review whether is it true enough that our proposal or our project is at the TRL level that we stated in the proposal, right? So these are the exercise if our proposal got accepted, right? Okay. Among that, this to go in details, among the 23 proposal, well, they segmented into 3: carbon capture and storage. These are the detailed attractive CO2 capture, new technology to support contaminants management, all the contaminants in the pipeline, in the reservoir, right? So in terms of that, is also energy production, the new technology, okay? The OE, operational activity optimization. We have the corrosion pipeline with the OE monitoring, digital transformation, even so-called detection, gas detection also, they are looking into it. So among that, these are the detailed scope of section that out of 23 proposal got funded in terms of the first exercise with Petronas. Okay, this is the detailed list of proposal from UiTM. The first one was from Associate Professor Dr. Marina. This is more onto the digitalization from IBDAI. That's why I mentioned they also looking into digitalization, natural fiber composite repair for pipeline for FIDA. Dr. Isbani also in the RP composite for pipeline, C pipeline, ceramic membrane from Dr. Nuridayati, CO2 utilization, Prof. Fazil, fiber gas detection, Associate Professor Engineer Dr. Zulawati from UiTM Dungun, and the last was me myself on the pipeline corrosion as well. So more or less, these are all the so-called the proposal that catch their eyes in terms of after they've gone through the screening, a few screening actually, not just one screening. We've gone through several screening, which includes pitching as well, right? Which include pitching as well. Okay. All right. Next. Okay, let me show you. These are their so-called terminology of TRL level. Okay, we have various kind of TRL level so-called identification. Okay, we have actually we also TRL 8, but I'm just focusing on what Petronas apply in terms of TRL level. For example, for TRL 1, normally our research is between TRL 1, 2, and 3, and somehow several of our research also have gone through TRL 4, but not exceeding TRL 4, because more than TRL 4 is related to the field testing, which is your product and your research is being implemented in the field for field testing suitability. Right, so more or less, our research product is covered between TRL 1 and TRL 4. So that's why this grant is only meant between this TRL 1 and TRL 4 only. All right. So for example, TRL 1 is for TRL 1 to TRL 3 is on the concept validation and prototype tested. If you just, for example, you just started your project, literature review of your project or product, so it just going to be TRL 1. It's a proof of concept. Now, if you have tested a result, we have several results into the preliminary testing of your product or your research, then you can claim that, for example, you are in TRL 2. And then if you have completed series of testing, you can also claim that you're also up to TRL 3, up to you have your own prototype or you have your own research product, your own research so-called technology up to tested of the prototype at the lab scale level, right? However, if you so-called expand it to TRL 4, which means that this TRL 4 has been tested at the real environment parameter. For example, in my case, I'm testing a so-called, I'm developing so-called chemicals that going to be injected in the pipeline, right? So initially, I've done all the literature review, I've done all the screening using modeling of, for example, microstructure modeling. Literature review has been done to select the best component of chemicals. So I've done TRL 1. So next, from the TRL1, I've done all the screening. So I started testing the chemicals that has been screened in terms of individual testing up to the, for example, ambient pressure or ambient temperature. We're using a designated equipment to test that so-called chemicals. So these are called TRL2 and TRL3. However, The real pipeline environment is not on the normal ambient temperature or normal ambient pressure. So for example, the pipeline temperature or pressure is up to 80 bar of pressure, and the temperature can go up to like 90 degrees or 100 degrees Celsius. So which means that my project or my proposal, my product has to be tested at that particular environment. So if my project or my product has been tested up to the real environment of the pipeline, so we and also and so-called they endorsed it, so it give you a good result. So which means that your result or your product has up to TRL4, the development until TRL4. So these are the one that we are looking into to mature our product, to mature our research from TRL1 to TRL4. So not necessarily that you start in TRL2 or not necessarily you start in TRL1. You can start also in TRL. If you have an idea, you wanted to start your project for TRL1, you can. You propose that you do literature review, you do screening through modeling, right? So you can propose that. And then what is your plan to go for TL2, 3 and 4? What are the equipment needed? Okay, what are your test metrics? What are your test condition? Okay, those are the things that they really want to know. And of course, the budget, the costing that related to the maturity to increase the TRL level. For example, now you are at TRL1, you want to go to TRL3 or 4. So what is the cost needed? Give them the cost. The costing for the equipment, the costing for the chemicals, the costing for any kind of so-called needed, RA, GRA. I'll show you the costing later, the detailed costing which I did last time. No worries, I'll show you later on. So these are the things that you need to really emphasize on in terms of the TRL level of your product or your research in the proposal. All right. But if you have done TRL1, show it that you have done TRL1. Some example. If you have done TL2, show some preliminary result to show to them, right? And then you propose to go to 3 and 4, and then propose what are the way forward, the method, the testing, the cost or the equipment for to go for TRL4. And then after TRL4, I think it's going to be a separate agreement if your product has managed to go through above TL4. As for my experience, during my 2017 project with Petronas, I did manage up to TL4, and the product has gone through up to TL7. It's a field proven. So during 5 to 7, they did on their own, using their own field, their own pipeline. So they are so-called, they took over from 5 to 7. So that this involves the commercialization agreement. If they agree to sign commercialization agreement with you. So this is a separate agreement. I'm not talking about this. So we just focus between TRL1 to TRL4. All right. Okay. All right. This is the flow which was done previously in 2021. Initially, they require us to submit only one page of proposal. Only one page. Actually, I'll show you after this. What's the one page proposal? It's very so-called very difficult actually to lump in all together your research into one page of proposal. All right. So they require us to submit one page of proposal. From that one page of proposal, if they require an additional explanation, additional so-called clarification, they will call you to have a pitching session, actually. So from our experience, out of 7 proposals that we got previously, not all gone through the pitching session. All right, only a few of us gone through the pitching session. All right. In case of myself, I didn't go any pitching session. All right. So which means that they understand my proposal, so they straight away require the detailed proposal. So they straight away require my detailed proposal. So I submitted my detailed proposal. So they look into it. So that's then we submit the final cost in our detailed proposal. So for our detailed proposal, they will send it to their own internal expert. And the internet expert will review in terms of the suitability, the duration, the costing. Is it suitable with the project duration? Is it suitable with the project cost? So all of them, they will review on that particular matters. So at the end, once they are accepted, there you go, they agreed for a kickoff meeting, which March last year. So this was the flow happened in 2021. But during current so-called activities session, they straight away, they don't require this one-page proposal anymore, actually. So, well, it's a good thing, actually, because you can put in more details into your proposal, actually, because it's a bit difficult. So if you just submit a one-page proposal, right? So now it just requires a bit, not so detailed, actually. They have given to you the what do they want, right? So you just pick in, for example, the project objectives. I'll show you after this what they require is, right? So these are the template for the one-page proposal only, right? So the title, they require the title of the project, research is all about, advantages, the background. Imagine one page of PowerPoint slide, actually, right? The research findings, some of the research finding, the collaboration, if you have any with other industries or the government bodies, the cost that you estimate, just the figures, okay? And also, what do you want? Key asks from industry opportunities to support your project over here. So this is the one that we got initially for the first exercise. We submitted a lot actually from UiTM. If I'm not mistaken, I think more than 50 or 60 page of proposal that we submitted. Actually, I'm not the real figure. I'm not sure. Provider knows better about this. Okay. So this is the one that I submitted. I just put in the title of my proposal, my project, and what is the research all about, and some background, and what is this in terms of your what you have done, your sharing conference journals, what and the collaboration. For example, do you have any collaboration, with research with any industries, and the estimated cost. This estimated cost, I just put it bluntly without detailed calculation. I just put it 300,000. But later on, when they call into the detailed proposal, so straight away I change my cost up to the real cost needed, which is I'll show you later on what the cost that required into the project. So these are the costs that we required from the project proposal, the one-page proposal. So luckily for this kind, this one-page proposal is not needed. All right. Otherwise, it's going to be trouble. So these are the detailed proposal. Once you've gone through the series of screening, so they email to you that, okay, they need your detailed proposal. Okay, they need your in-depth proposal explaining the background, the methods of your research, some analysis of finding. If you have done any, for example, you have done anti-TRL2, put out some result over there. Your track record of your research, for example, you have any collaboration. Have you implemented in any kind of field test or whatsoever? Okay, you explain how can the research benefit Petronas. So this is very important, falls into the area that they focus of area that they explained in the slide previously, actually. So you have to explain where can your research specifically can benefit them, for example. All right. For example, in my case, my product or my research can benefit in terms of integrity of the pipeline, maintaining the flow assurance of the pipeline to make sure that the pipeline does not corrode. So these are the benefit that they're going to gain on internet of that, right? And then, as I mentioned, the research proposal maturity stage, the TRL level. What are your TRL level of your research? Is it still in the tabletop? Okay, is it still a study phase? All right, is it in a pilot or field implementation stage? So you have to specify your TRL level, right? And then your research schedule in the form of Gantt chart. I'll show you my example proposal after this. And the budget with cost facing, the budget, and also complete CV with all the researchers, which include your field of expertise, any previous related project to the proposal, and the publication track record. So they really screen through in terms of the CV of each of the team members to make sure that all of the team members, so-called the project can be completed according to the time given, actually. So these are the detailed proposal that were required at that particular time. All right. Okay, let me show you so-called my example detailed proposal. So this is they don't give you actually a format actually. So this is just I just put in my own format. Okay, my front page, and this is my content. Okay, so this is just something that we come up with a like business proposal to them. Okay, so let me just go through under my proposal. Okay, this is the proposal submitted. You have your content, your background of the research, some literature review, if you've done any, the summary of your project, overall objectives, your methods. I segregated in terms of the phases, phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Include track record of your research, your research schedule, your proposed budget, conclusion, and some reference. So these are the background of the research. You put your literature review. These are the common thing. I think all the academics are well versed in terms of this, right? So some literature review in terms of this, right? Just going to go through fast on this particular chat section. And then the main point is your project summary. Okay. For example, if you have done TL1 and TL2, just state on phase 1, you have done literature review. Phase 2, you have done some of the testing on your product. Just name it. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. All right. So as on my case, actually, I got some changes. Initially, I submitted my proposal started from TL3 to TL4. But during my first initial proposal, my proposal is in collaboration with an industry. Okay. After some negotiation, there's some conflict of issue in terms of the IP. For example, I'll show you after this. Actually, at the end, the IP of your project, the IP of the findings, the IP of your product belongs to Petronas. So if you have any industrial collaborator, some of the industry are not willing to let Petronas to have those IPs just on their own. So that's the reason why I have to let go my industrial partner, and I have to stand alone. Only me, myself in UiTM to go for this. So I have to start back. I told them, if you want me to go in, I have to start from TL1. So they said, it's okay, it's fine, you start for TL1. So I said, okay, I'll start for TL1, TL2, and TL3. So my proposal, initially with the industry partners, I started TL3 to 4. But I exclude the industrial partner, so I start with TL1, 2, and 3. It's okay. They also accept on that matters, right? So in this case, I start with TL1, literature review, pre-performance, in terms of modeling, all right? This was phase 1, okay? And then phase 2, some of the testing. You propose your testing, your phase 3, and then just show them what are the equipment that you have got in your lab, in your research. Okay, if you have your own equipment already fabricated, show it to show that's your strength, right? Show them in the proposal. So this is very important. These are the overall workflow that you propose to them. And you segregated them in terms of TRL level, TRL1, 2, and 3. Okay, so these are TRL1, as I mentioned in our phase 1, literature review, performance analysis, and then up to TL2, right here is on the testing part. So you construct the overall flow of your project, all right? Then up to TL3, what are the tests that's needed into TL3? So show them clearly what that they know, if they can understand your flow, meaning that you understand your subject matters very well in terms of up to TL4. So in my case, I don't go for TL4 because TL4 requires a fabrication of more high-tech equipment. I told them if I want to do that, I need an extra time, more than 2 years, right? So they said that no, only 2 years. And in my case, so in that case, if you only give me 2 years, I said that I'm going to do until TL3. So they accept it. So I'm not going to go for TL4. So that's why my project is only for TL1 to TL3 only, excluding the TL4, which is testing at the real environment. So this is very important to show your proposal and your overall process. All right. For example, if you have done this, just show your process and then show it it's done. Just click here, for example, do some animation that is done. So show some result here. So these are the things that to show them in a visual way, easier for them to look into it, right? So this on the overall chart and overall objective based on the overall activity. Okay, you have your main objective and each individual specific objective based on phases. Okay, this is on phase 1 objective, phase 2, and phase 3 objective, right? And your method. Okay, these are all the methods for phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. So all the so-called the method related to my project. I'll go through fast on this. Right? If I just the figure, the visual, better to put some visual rather than lengthy writing. Right? And I include some track record of my research. Okay, some track records, research schedules. This is very important. These are the research schedule in terms of phases. For example, phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. All right. So the phase 1, what I'm going to do? Okay, this is a 2 years project. Okay, at months first, so you really have to calculate your time over here because they really follow your research schedule. Okay, the progress is really based on your research schedule, right? And include the deliverables on each of the phases, okay? Because the payment schedule or the payment is not being paid lump sum. For example, you secured 1 million, so at the first signing ceremony, you're going to be paid like 1 million. No, it's not like that. It's going to be paid by deliverables, right? Once you submit these deliverables, then they're going to pay that money. So how much percent, then you include later on. I'll show you what are your deliverables and your payment schedule. You can specify that, no worries about that, right? So each one of them has its deliverables, and last is the final report for 2 years, right? And this is the budget. I think that the budget they have given to you, the section, the manpower. For example, you can hire your PhD or master student, graduate research. You can. There's no limitation. For example, you only maximum you can pay like 2,000 or 2,500. No, they don't limit actually. If you want to hire postdoc also is fine. If one of the project from previously from Petronas as well, I got to know that they also appoint postdoc. Okay, so if you can justify that you require postdoc rather than GRA, then you have to justify it. It's fine. Okay, so you just justify your GRA for 2 years. How many? 2 or 3, depending on the work scope. For example, here I requested for 3. Okay, for example, right? So traveling, if you include for traveling, conferences or training, chemical research materials or consumable. Okay, and your professional services. Okay, this is very important. All right. As I mentioned to you, professional services, you have to include your professional services, meaning that the IP of the project, the IP of your product, the IP of your research is going to belong to Petronas. Okay, meaning that they're going to have your IP, they're going to keep your IP. So what's in it for you actually? Your brain. Okay, I would say that your cost of the brain. Okay, the cost of your brain actually, right? So, and your hard work, okay, so it has to be paid because you're dealing with industries right now. Business does matters over here, right? So when you live in industry, they have to pay in terms of your so-called professional services. So you have to include your professional services in the scope of the objective, all right? And then equipment, if you have equipment fabrication, include the equipment over here, all right? But bear in mind, the equipment in the agreement, the equipment that bought from this fund belongs to Petronas, meaning that they will so-called collect, or they will have their equipment whenever they want it, all right? So bear in mind with that, okay? And then maintenance, and also some rentals fee, for example, conference fee, training fee, okay? And then please include at the end, the management fee from UTV, all right? So this, we have signed MRA, Memorandum Master Research Agreement with so-called UTV. So we have signed MRA. The big agreement has been signed under the umbrella of UTV, which is under the TNC PNI so-called umbrella. So any so-called project with Petronas after this will be just embedded into under this MRA. So that's why you have to include the management cost comes from UTV and also 6% in terms of SST. So these are the total costs that need to be so-called given to the in the proposal. You have to calculate thoroughly in terms of what do you need. So at the end, the one that you need, the clean that got to you is these figures only. All right, item from 1 to 8, only these figures. The rest is on the management fee, the SST. All right. And some conclusion, some reference to support your so-called research. And your CV and your team member CV is important to make sure that the project is tally, the expert really helps in terms of this research, right? Okay, so next, these are the project proposal, the detailed project proposal. So from that, actually, the same thing they require. They require a project objective. They require your background, scope of work. Okay, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Include the TRL level into this section number 2. Your project schedule and deliverables, as I mentioned just now, I showed you just now the project schedule and deliverables, target group. So define which target group benefit and the impact to Petronas. Whether the key area focus with it, is it under the CCUS, or is it under the so-called other 3 element or other 3. For my case, my project was under the CCUS. carbon capture and the greenhouse gases, right? And also include the project team CV need to be included. So these are the main 5 which you need to include in your this time Petronas Dialogue 2023, how to secure in terms of this project, right? And the last number 6 is the project cost. As I mentioned just now, they include here 10%, but it's okay since if the fee is more than 10%, you just verify it's 10%. They just blunt it like average 10% for the admin fee. That's why they put it 10% fee. All right. So you just follow their so-called categories. These are the same categories which I showed you just now. The similar categories and the amount of the cost. All right. Okay, some important points. Okay, when you participate in terms of this, as I mentioned just now, all IPs belong to Petronas. Okay, so be careful in that. That's why you have to include your professional services. Okay, because all the IPs belong to them, because they said that they pay for the research, so the IP belongs to them. This is if you have a background IP. Okay, this is different between background IP and foreground IP. All right, this is meant for foreground IP. Okay, for background IP, they don't own it. All right. For example, you are going to use your background IP to continue up to your research. So this background IP don't belong to them. It's belong to you, right? Only the foreground IP is belong to them because it started using their money to come up with that IP. So this is meant the IP belongs to them. It's already stated in the MRA which was signed last year. And I mentioned all the equipment purchased belong to the Petronas. Okay, all the mentioning that they have the right ownership of the equipment. Okay, need to include the professional services cost in the budget, as I mentioned just now, and also the SST. Include the management fee. Strong team leader members is very crucial. As I mentioned, this is an industrial project. They require a very robust and also an agile group. Okay, which means that if they require, for example, based on my experience, they even chase you during the night time. Okay, they even chase you during the night time to ask for data. Actually, that's from my experience. But that's the industry works. Okay, that's how the company works. Well, you got their fund. That's the price that you have to pay. All right. Okay. So at the end, team leader need to be resilient. As I mentioned, you need to be strong. Okay, this is not similar grant as you just applied like FRGS or other grants. So this is something industrial grant that you need to be really resilient into this. All right, I think that's my presentation. I'm open for any question and answers, and this is my email. You can just email me for any help or assistance in terms of that. So thank you very much, Dr. Hema. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Najmi. Right. Hopefully this session will give a very wide view, okay, and also we can get prepared towards the tips and the focus area of the Petronas focus area. So we do have beberapa soalan here, Dr. Najmi. I think I answered PM Anida punya soalan, but I don't know whether if you can share again your experience about the defense or any presentation during the review stage.
Oh, okay, all right. As I mentioned just now, not all of us attended, were called for the so-called pitching session presentation. There's no presentation, okay? So only a few of them were called upon to where they require some information, where they see that your project is so-called attracted them. So they wanted some more information which is not in your proposal. So they will call you to seek for pitching for information. But for this current one, they don't. I don't think they're going to have this kind of session, right? Tema, yeah, because I think they don't have time, because I think they are accepting right now. They're going to get like, I would say, thousands of proposals.
Exactly. Even though masa the brief project that day last week, if I'm not mistaken, ramai juga the participants asking about the flow, the process, and so on. So I think for the first stage review, they just select, and for the second review, they will call for the presentation if there is any ambiguous statement in your proposal, I think. Okay, so another one from Dr. Aisha. Shall we need to provide invoice for any equipment listed in the proposal budget?
Oh, okay. For this initial proposal, no, you don't need to include any quotation. I think it's meant for quotation, right? It's not invoice, a quotation, right? I think in this proposal, this first so-called exercise, no, you don't need to include any quotation. Okay, they just need to know what are the costs, but of course, you don't want to undercost, so-called to quote underquote your price. Okay, so yes, you have to say for quotation, but don't include. You don't need to include them the quotation.
Even though the letter of intent from others company, Dr. Najmi, they don't need that to write.
Okay, actually, one of the so-called FAQ slides that they submitted, Petronas submitted, that you can have the collaboration with other agencies, other companies, or whatsoever, but that's not gonna be their main. That's not gonna help you in terms of selection. They have mentioned in the FAQ, right? So meaning that if you have an LOI or whatsoever, so it's not really helps you in terms of this. It's just the main thing is like if your project, if your proposal can help them in terms of pinpoint, then they will select it. So that's the main thing. Right.
Okay, we move to another question from Dr. Samiha. You did mention before that the IP is belong to Petronas. Do we allow to use the data from the postgrad research?
Okay. To use data for postgraduate research right now, meaning that, okay, for example, currently, if you want to publish a paper for this project, you have to so-called seek their approval. Okay, you have to seek their approval, so-called in terms of publishing the papers, right? So in terms of that, yes, you have to seek their approval in terms of publishing papers. But for postgraduate research, currently I'm also having my postgraduate student to do this research, so for their PhD and masters as well, right? So there's no, from my experience, I think no issue in terms of data for this kind of, but I think in terms of that, you have to discuss personally with the person in charge of this project in case they wanted to so-called protect the overall IP. But my experience, I try to tweak in. Okay, not necessarily you expose everything for your postgraduate research. You try to tweak in here. Because of course you wanted your PhD student and master student to do this, right? It's a waste. You do a two years project without graduating a postgraduate student. So you can use it, but try to tweak as long as it doesn't so-called clash with their interest of the IP. That you can do that actually, but need to have some discussion with them, right? So that's
right.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, Dr. Zai. Go ahead.
Assalamualaikum, Dr. Najmiddin. Thank you for your great sharing. Dr. Najmiddin also have personally mentored me last year and we got shortlisted. Two questions, Dr. Najmi. You shared just now the drop down were made based on our milestone achievement. So how do we chase as like after 3 months to the milestone, do they stop the payment or the drop down, or they suddenly give you a notice or terminate the project? One question. And the second one, second one, how do we charge our professional fee per researcher per year? Thank you, Dr. Najmi.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Zaini. All right. Okay, the question number one, actually, as I mentioned, the payment schedule is based on deliverables. Okay, for example, the first upon signing, you can put 10% payment, meaning that upon signing they can pay you 10% upon signing, because you need some seed fund to do your research. Okay, you can put there 10% upon signing. They will allow it. So somehow they will allow it 10% based on my experience and other researchers as well, right? That's what I advise other researchers, put 10% upon signing, right? Of course, otherwise you cannot start your project without money, right? The second, in terms of deliverables, so how they pay you, for example, for second deliverables, when you submitted the report for that second deliverables, so then and after that you will submit your invoice, then they will pay to you. So if you cannot submit the deliverables, they will not pay you, right? So I have experience as well with other project, but not in a university, where the project was not completed. So they just like half of it, milestone was achieved. So they just pay you only half of the milestone, just like that. So they're going to terminate your project just like that, right? So yeah, according to milestone, you complete your milestone, you got your money. Okay, so if you complete until the end, you final report, you got all the money over here. So how that's how they reimburse the money. Okay, question number 2 from Dr. Zaini is how much of the professional services? Okay, this is a very popular question actually. Wherever I give this so-called explanation, even in UNIMAC as well, last two days, they ask the same question: how much? Okay, how much is very subjective. Okay, but I can give you some tips. Okay, because if each one of us has their own research, have their own expert, which costs differently. Okay, so however, what my experience I did was, first thing, I did some benchmarking of outsiders. How much do they charge? For example, if Petronas engage industrial part outside lab or outside institution, commercial institution, how much will they cost? For example, testing of one chemical, how much they cost? So you can have that benchmarking over here. For example, they charge on 10,000 per sample. Okay, that include your man. Okay, for example, so you can so-called play around with that. I can play around with that. And also you can use your guideline. UTB has a guideline as well for professional services. They have a template. You can seek help from UTB as well. They can have template for man. For example, how much hours you are contributing to your project. Then you can use some guideline from the government man hour. But my experience, I don't use specifically the government rate, a little bit high, because this is in industrial. Okay, so a little bit high from the government rate. So that's my suggestion to you in terms of this.
Thank you, Dr. Najmi.
Okay, welcome.
Alhamdulillah, thank you Dr. Zai. Okay, lagi satu kita ada soalan daripada Dr. Zahir. This question we get from the YouTube. May I know, do we need to submit full proposal or just a brief proposal for this initial round?
The limit of what pages is it?
The proposal, a brief proposal for this initial round.
Oh, okay. I think the guideline item number 1 to number 6 has been given, right? Which means that you have to include the item that they requested. For example, the objective, the research scope, and the background. No need, from my experience, no need to put more your literature review in this first round, because they don't want to see literature review. They want to see what is your current level of your work scope. What is your work scope currently? What are your level of maturity? They want to see this. So just a little bit background of your research, then straight away go to your scope, your phases. All right, that is my suggestion. Because currently you have like 1,000 of proposal. You don't bother to see the literature review. They want to know where are you right now. Okay, and how much do you want to complete the so-called the phases that you propose, and then does your proposal align with your pain point? So that's the thing. Okay, if you say how many pages, I cannot say. They don't limit into pages, but make sure you emphasize on those criteria that I mentioned in my presentation.
All right, that's very clear. Okay, di sini pun ada lagi beberapa kemusykilan. Okay, Dr. Najmi, if we want to submit the proposal just about the project evaluation, katakanlah kita ada the one of the system project, adakah we need to just send it as a prototype?
Tak faham. Boleh ulang balik tema?
Project evaluation di dalam proposal, adakah kita boleh submit in the types of prototype?
In a physical prototype?
Yeah, in the physical prototype.
Oh no. They will screen your report proposal.
I see. Okay.
They will screen your report proposal. You cannot submit your physical prototype.
Okay, alright. Menjawab soalan. Sebab di sini pun ada beberapa lagi soalan sebab when we are talking about the IP, the solution must be or it can be commercialized, kan? Jadi dia punya focus area must be connected to the pain point yang telah ditentukan. Betul ya, Dr. Najmi?
That's right.
Okay. Ada lagi satu soalan dekat sini. Can we submit more than one proposal?
Yes, it's up to you. You want to submit how many proposals as you want. They don't limit like one person, one proposal. No, They allow you actually to submit how many proposals as you want. No worries about that.
All right. Alhamdulillah. So hopefully we are here. Ada berapa ramai dekat sini? Okay. We are almost 100. Okay, sebab kita ada di dalam sistem Webex dan juga platform YouTube. Memang kita kalau boleh, we want to grab this opportunity, you see, to fly in this grant yang sebenarnya memberi very good encouragement to all researcher di dalam UiTM. So insyaAllah bersama-sama kita Dr. Lokman pun ada. Okay, hopefully Dr. Lokman boleh clearkan sedikit tentang kita punya proses penghantaran proposal ni.
Okay, Assalamualaikum everyone. Thank you Dr. Hema. Thank you also Dr. Najmiddin for your very detailed sharing session with us today. Actually, I'm Lokman, actually from coordinator UPG. I'm responsible to collect all the proposal from UiTM, and we try, because this is our instruction from Prof. Azhar sendiri. She want us to submit to the Petronas in a bundle. So I hope you all dekat sini almost 51 participant, and then I'm hoping that we can submit as many as we can the proposal. So the deadline to submit to the UiTM actually is 23rd. Even though actually sebenarnya untuk to submit to Petronas is about 29, but we try to to try to submit earlier. Kita tak mau submit last minute, but of course 23rd is the first deadline, and I think kita akan extend lagi sampai hari Ahad ataupun hari Isnin next week. Sebab kita nak maksimumkan numbers of proposal. So I hope semua dekat sini dah ada link for Google Form. Okay, so you just submit all the details in the Google Form and then upload your proposal over there. And me and also my team akan check dari segi maybe template apa-apalah yang berkaitan dengan betul syarat-syarat dan lain-lain lagi. So kalau ada problem, kita akan cuba contact balik pada participant, pada applicants, and kalau tak ada problem, kita akan terus proceed untuk submission. Okay, that's all I think, Dr. Hema.
Alright, thank you very much, Dr. Lokman. And actually, I would like to thank for both of you, Dr. Najmi yang dah explain sebenarnya tips-tips yang kita perlu highlight di dalam kita punya proposal. Okay, of course we are concerned about the cost. Okay, the costing, even though masa pembentangan ataupun brief project yang sebelum ni pun Petronas ada sebut dan memberi highlight lah terhadap cost projection, iaitu memang dia akan perhalusi dan akan go through towards the proposal. Okay, dengan mengikut apa yang telah diberitahu oleh Dr. Lokman, we do have the cut off date yang kita kena hantar melalui Google Drive yang telah kami share di dalam chat box ni adalah pada 23 hari bulan, iaitu pada hari Jumaat ini. So walau bagaimanapun kita ada lebih kurang 48 jam untuk kita kemaskini the proposal, dan kita masih ada Dr. Najmi dengan kita walaupun kita end the session dalam webinar, but we still can contact to Dr. Najmi, ya Dr. Najmi?
Boleh insyaAllah.
Yeah, we need your expertise in this pertolongan supaya kita punya proposal pun nampak lebih tersusun dan juga bersedia untuk dihantar, insyaAllah. Right? So
satu benda saya terlupa.
Ya Dr. Najmi, silakan.
In terms of the costing, probably somehow kita akademik ni kita takut nak minta banyak sebenarnya. Okay, so kita takut kadang mungkin nak minta 100,000, 200,000 saja. So in terms of this, if you have done all the costing and you say that, for example, your project is up to TRL4, for example, okay, meaning that it can be done, it can be tested, you want it to be tested at TRL4, so you can request, like for example 1 million or more than 1 million. Okay, that's how much Prof. Aida got. Okay, 1.3 million. Okay, and also from my case, initially my project was 1 million. Okay, up to TRL3 and 4. Okay, but due to as mentioned just now, I reduced my TRL. okay, reduced from 3 to 4, and then I started with TL 1, 2, and 3. So normally up to the POC, proof of concept status, roughly the cost will be, this is based on my exercise with the Petronas, because I've been back and forth the costing so many times. So roughly for up to POC, proof of concept, TL1 to TL3 ranges between 500,000 to 700,000. That's for TL3. And if you can go for TL4, then you can go up to 1 million. No worries, just quote 1 million about that. No worry about that. Okay, you go beyond the limit over here. It's okay. No worries about that. Okay?
Yeah, masa the brief project tu pun, because kalau tak silap saya, Dr. Khalid ke Dr. Khairul, if I'm not mistaken kan, dia pun memang highlight on the cost ataupun costing ni. So kita kena relatekan kita punya project dan juga costing yang reasonable, yang sebenarnya selalu akademik akan nampak wow, this is too much and too high kan, tapi when we go towards the industry punya acknowledgement, dia tidak menjadi permasalahan pun. Di situlah sebenarnya bila kita tengok the rest of university yang ada di dalam brief project tu, mereka dah nampak dah secara meluasnya costing ni tidak menjadi ataupun tidak mengganggu-gugat lah kalau kita faham the TRL mana yang kita nak fokus on, insyaAllah. Itu yang the previous brief project yang dilakukan oleh Petronas lah. So semasa pembentangan tu kita dah boleh acknowledge lah berapa ataupun the costing setiap quotation yang kita nak letak di dalam kita punya equipment ataupun chemical apa-apa sahaja yang kita nak letakkan di dalamnya, insyaAllah. Okey, ada soalan lagi? Saya tanya sekretariat sekejap ya.
Boleh saya tanya?
Waalaikumsalam. Ya, boleh. Silakan Dr. Wan.
Saya perasan juga yang tadi ada consultation dan sebagainya kan. Adakah kita dibenarkan, do we allow to go outside or we have to do all the like experiment and so on, taking data in-house? Which means adakah kita dibenarkan untuk buat collaboration dengan outside university from outside daripada negara-negara lain lah to strengthen our finding. Itu je lah kot.
Okay, yeah, macam saya cakap tadi, actually you are allowed to do that actually. So-called to have a collaboration with outsiders. Tapi as I mentioned by Petronas, dalam FAQ dia pun kata, actually if you have collaboration with others, benda tu dia orang tak tengok sebagai so-called advantages to secure the project. Okay, yang penting, the issue dia mention ni, kalau you sendiri boleh buat, if you alone in UiTM can do it, no point engaging others right now. Okay, sebab if you engaging others, you have to pay them. Meaning that if you have to pay them, the cost is increased kat situ. Itu dia tengok kat situ. Kenapa? Kalau you boleh buat, you have to pay, you have to engage other people. Tapi kalau betul-betul memang you kena engage, you justify to them, then it's fine. Tak ada masalah. Macam tu contoh. Okay. So to me that if you want to engage is fine. Tapi dalam FAQ dia cakap kata it's not going to be an advantage kalau you ada collaboration ke apa ke. Yang penting dia tengok project ni is according to their pain point, is viable, is doable, and the expertise can be done, is fine. How you manage them, you need to pay. Itu masalah sebab kalau you engage orang luar, you kena bayar dia orang. Takkan nak bayar free je, right? Ada yang nak kena keluar ke apa kan, semua tu kena bayar cost. So if that is necessary, then it's fine, you include in your costing. But if that is not necessary, try to avoid benda tu sebenarnya. Okay, that's my answer for that.
Alright. Alhamdulillah, saya buka lagi yang mana-mana jikalau nak terus bertanyakan kepada our expert today.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Saya Aisyah. I have one more question. Dr. Najmi, let's say we want to propose the idea that can be considered under TRL1. If I'm mistaken. So do we have to provide a proven work or any experimental work for the TRL1? Is that compulsory or is that not compulsory? Something like that.
Meaning that you only want to propose TL1 saja ke?
Yes, saya.
Okey, kalau ikutkan TL1 sahaja ni not tak begitu strong kalau ikutkan. So it's better that you relate at least TL1 you punya preliminary study tu, literature review, modeling semua tu dengan expand it a bit, because actually they don't want, for example, dia orang tak nak mechanism ni, dia orang tak nak modeling ni, dia orang tak nak mechanism how do it happen, dia tak nak benda macam tu. Dia nak actually the product or the technology macam tu. So at what level is your technology? 2, 3 is fine. Okay, tapi kalau setakat TL1 saja tu is too young sebenarnya. Tapi boleh minta, tapi pendapat saya try to go beyond 1, 2 and 3 tu sebenarnya. 1 tu buat and then extend lagi 2 dengan 3. Macam tu.
Okay, let's say we want to propose about we are going to produce a product, end products, for instance. Okay, so do we need to provide a proven experimental work? Contohnya macam algorithm model yang dah working ke apa ke? Macam tu.
Yang itu yang you dah buat maksudnya model tu.
Model tu baru nak testing. So actually we want to propose the end product and at the final stage, so we supposed to have a final product, but for this consider a preliminary stage. So that's why in the proposal, do we need to provide with any experimental work just to prove them? So we have done for this area.
Yeah. In your case, I think similar. But you dah buat model tu, so you can claim that you have done TL1 and 2. You have done TL1 and 2, and you show them some result that this is the one that we have done. Okay, so to complete them to have the end product, you need to complete, maknanya sambung daripada model tu 3 and 4. For example, untuk nak completekan jadikan produk, macam tu. So you declare to them you dah buat 1 and 2. So bubur dalam proposal, these are some preliminary result of your research outcome. Show to them benda ni.
Okay. So kalau kita propose nak ada produce satu produk tapi kita tak ada buat lagi experimental work ke apa ke, macam mana pula macam tu, Doktor?
Kalau nak buat propose satu produk, then you have to start from TL1 balik lah maksudnya.
Okay.
Start dari TL1, apa you nak buat sebenarnya untuk dapatkan produk tu.
So is that can be considered?
Yeah, sure. It can be considered. Macam my case, saya my first proposal I started with TRL 3 and 4. Sebab 1 and 2 saya dah buat. Okay, tapi benda tu dengan industri. Tapi bila dia orang tak nak idea industri, saya terpaksa let go my industry. Then I have to start on my own. Bila I have to start on my own, I have to start back from TL1. So no worries. I cakap I buat 1, 2 and 3 balik. Macam tu. So no worries about that. Jadi entry tu maknanya dia produk lah, tapi produk tu belum verified lagi dekat TL4. It's still a product.
Okay. Yeah, I get a point. Okay, thank you, Doktor.
Alright, okay.
Alright, thank you, Dr. Aisyah. Waalaikumsalam. Silakan teruskan.
Okay, saya Wan Fazlida. Saya nak tanya, saya tak ada prepare apa-apa lagi ni. So, but if I want to have a look at the documents, saya tengok dalam email ni dia ada academia briefing pack yang FAQ. Lepas tu dalam group pun ada satu yang shorts. And ada apa lagi reference? Dia ada guidelines document ke?
Yang dihantarkan sekali. Yang dihantarkan sekali dia tak ada guideline, dia cuma bagikan template je. So you just fulfill the template regarding dengan apa yang Dr. Najmi dah bagi tips tadi lah. Di situ saja. So apa yang perlu kita kena look into the focus area yang diperlukan oleh Petronas.
Okay, so what is not spelled out is kelonggaran lah maksudnya. Sebab kita dah biasa the guidelines very.
Ya, betul. Ya, kalau Dr. Najmi boleh terangkan sikit, sebenarnya dia memang nak bagi grant ni kepada semua yang memang related to the proposal, yang related to the focus area. Kan betul ya Dr. Najmi ya?
Betul. Dia orang banyak duit tu sebenarnya.
Dia orang banyak duit, dia orang
dia banyak duit nak habiskan duit.
Yes, for 2023 ni dia nak tengok kita punya area is related to them, yang mana related dia akan catch terus. Begitu.
Okay, so kalau proposal tak best pun at least RMC ada banyak lah, pejabat TNCPI ada banyak proposal lah kalau sempat-sempat lah.
InsyaAllah, insyaAllah. Apa yang Dr. Lokman kata tadi, untuk kita punya window for RMC memang pada 23 hari bulan. Tapi kita cuba sehabis baik because dia punya deadline for Petronas is actually 29. Okay, tapi kita cuba kumpulkan all the potential proposal daripada UiTM supaya kita nampaklah dekat situ sejagatnya UiTM untuk menghantar beberapa proposal di situ. Jadi Petronas always welcome, up to 29 sebenarnya always welcome to submit the proposal. But the best method sebenarnya we need to kumpulkan, okay, dan hantar sekali. Kita punya rumah hantar sekali lah kepada Petronas, insyaAllah. Sempat insyaAllah sediakanlah proposal itu. Kalau kita tak cuba, kita tak tahu. Dan cubalah melihat kepada setiap perincian di dalam template yang telah diberikan. Kalau kita boleh submit, kita submit insyaAllah. Kalau ada rezeki, mana tahu kan? InsyaAllah Dr. Wan.
Okay, thank you. Excellent.
Alright. So, saya buka lagi kepada beberapa soalan. Sebelum dekat luar ni pun macam nak hujan lebat ni nampaknya. Okay. Right. Puan Syahira, kita ada soalan daripada YouTube. Okay, so far tak ada. So, sedikit conclusion and motivation from Dr. Najmi, please.
Okay, secara kesimpulannya macam inilah. Saya based on this, academician biasalah. Actually, first thing saya pun pernah start di mana kita buat proposal dengan industri ni, actually kita takut. Sebenarnya we so called takutlah dengan industri ni kan, dia minta macam-macam, layak ke kita ni ke, we suit enough with the industry and whatsoever, right? So actually this is the time for you to go beyond the normal practices, to go beyond your comfort zone actually. Okay, so try to test yourself to go beyond your comfort zone, where we are here the academician not just to teach the student but also to give services to the industry sebenarnya. That's what the main point is right now. So cuba go beyond the line. InsyaAllah once you cross the line, memang insyaAllah memang you rasa very so called satisfaction tu lah memang ada lah. Mula-mula memang takut sebenarnya. Takutlah tapi tengah Petronas banyak duit ni kan yang kejar kita sembelih apa ke. No. Just try. Actually it's a good experience for you as academician actually. So tu nasihat saya, go beyond the normal line right now. Try to grab actually and let UiTM be again yang paling banyak dapat proposal ni macam tahun lepas juga sebenarnya. InsyaAllah kita boleh.
InsyaAllah. Okay, that's a spirit. Kita perlukan spirit yang sangat berterusan sebenarnya. Okay, all the researchers is actually need that grind. Kalau tak, kita tak boleh bergerak. So kalau boleh kita grab this opportunity supaya nama UiTM di dalam Petronas tu lebih sinonim pada masa akan datang, insyaAllah. Sebab kita ramai pakar-pakar, kita ramai expert, kita ada researcher yang sangat-sangat berketerampilan dan berkebolehan, so that we use this platform actually to help another agency dengan knowledge yang kita ada, dengan kepakaran yang kita ada. Alhamdulillah. Okay, saya sangat-sangat berterima kasih kepada our speaker, our expert for today, Dr. Najmi. Sekurang-kurangnya kita dah nampaklah sikit di dalam ketakutan untuk kita meletakkan kos yang agak tinggi di situ. Sebenarnya dia adalah kalau tak cuba kita tak tahu. Okay, cakap je 1 million, it's really about a big money kan. Jadi macam kita cuba berdasarkan dengan proposal kita dan juga kepakaran kita, insyaAllah, dan seterusnya kita sahut juga dan bantu RMC dalam hantar proposal. Kalau boleh lebih daripada seorang, boleh hantar lebih daripada 2, betul Dr. Najmi? Dan juga kita ada Dr. Najmi bersama-sama kita, even though kita stop the webinar, Dr. Najmi akan membantu kita juga dari mana untuk menghuraikan beberapa kesulitan yang mungkin kita tak tahu sebab masa dah buat nanti, bila kita dah go through, oh mungkin pada waktu itu we are facing the problem, insyaAllah just let us know di manakah tahap confusion itu dan juga kesukaran tersebut dan kita cuba bantu sebelum kita boleh submit pada 23 hari bulan ni. Right? Setinggi-tinggi terima kasih kami daripada pihak Renew dan juga pihak RMC Dr. Najmi kerana sudi meluangkan masa berkongsi tips dan juga pengalaman yang telah diperolehi selama ini. Kalau kita tak cuba, kita tak tahu. Bila kita dah cuba, barulah kita rasa, oh, ini adalah a new journey for us. Okay, even though we are doing a research, but somehow we need to go more far and further towards the understanding and expert of ourselves. InsyaAllah. Thank you very much Dr. Najmi. And tidak dilupakan juga all the participants for today, the potential researcher yang akan submit the proposal. Again, I bacakan lagi sekali, the submission should be received by RMC by 23rd, not later than 23rd insyaAllah. Tetapi kami sentiasa membuka ruang jikalau proposal dah ada, cuma tak sempat nak submit by Friday, please do not hesitate to contact us. Kita akan cuba sehabis baik to submit this proposal to Petronas. Dan juga jangan lupa isikan borang kehadiran. Okay, untuk kita sharekan Dr. Najmi punya slide for today, right? So insyaAllah kita di akhir saya dah nak cakap di akhir rancangan Dr. Najmi. Rasa macam we conduct TV session pula dah kan? Okay, kita di akhir discussion yang sangat-sangat bermanfaat kepada kita semua yang memberi ruang. Okay, this opportunity is a very meaningful to us. InsyaAllah kita boleh berkongsi semula idea ini setelah kita dapat grant nanti, and not to forget to giving back the knowledge to the society insyaAllah one day. Thank you very much for Dr. Najmi. Thank you very much for all those participants and the researchers for today for joining us. Hopefully we are not stopped here. We are moving forward to have banyak lagi grant sebenarnya insyaAllah, dan please keep in touch with Renew sebab Renew akan sentiasa membantu anda untuk mendapatkan mana-mana grant dari segi kepakaran-kepakaran yang kita ada, okay, melalui webinar yang kita akan adakan. Alhamdulillah, thank you very much. Okay, kita ada message daripada let me go through. Okay, mohon kerjasama daripada Tuan Pak untuk mengisi maklum balas webinar. Tips for winning grant Petronas. Oh, di dalam link kehadiran yang telah kami buka. Okay, tadi kami dah buka dah setengah jam yang lepas, tapi we are just open it for 15 minutes, but now we are having another 15 more minutes to lengkapkan kita punya borang kehadiran insyaAllah. Alright, so thank you very much untuk semua. Alhamdulillah, semoga ilmu yang kita dapat hari ini boleh kita manfaatkan bukan sahaja untuk diri kita tetapi adalah untuk anak bangsa kita sendiri dan juga negara insyaAllah. Thank you very much kerana join kita pada webinar hari ini. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih semua.
Terima kasih Dr. Hema, Dr. Najmi.
Thank you very much Dr. Lokman.
Terima kasih Dr. Hema, Dr. Najmi.
Thank you very much.